A legend from the past inspires the next generation. Our star linebacker gets the recognition deserved from the entire league. But there's a situation that could change everything for this organization. A frustrated star, a contract not yet reached, and decisions that could determine if we're going for the ring or stopping halfway. This is what you need to know right now, because what happens in the next few days will mark the destiny of the Commanders. Subscribe to the channel because you won't find this information anywhere else. Let's start with something that fills me with pride as a fan of this organization, and that shows exactly why the Washington Commanders are different from any other franchise in the NFL. Daryl Green, one of the greatest legends this franchise has ever had, was at the Benning Terrace Recreation Center this week with 50 young athletes from Washington, D.C. And let me tell you, this is what it means to truly be a Commander. But let me explain who Daryl Green is for those who might not fully know his legacy. We're talking about a man who played 20 seasons in the NFL, all with this organization. 20 seasons. I believe many of you don't grasp what that means in professional football. The average NFL player's career lasts 3.3 years, and this man played 20 seasons at the highest level. Green was selected 7 times for the Pro Bowl, was included in the All-Pro team 4 times, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2008. But more important than all those stats, Green is considered one of the fastest players in NFL history. He ran 40 yards in 4.15 seconds at the Combine and maintained that speed throughout his career. Now I ask you, how many players with that caliber of career would take the time to organize a football clinic for community kids? How many would stay all day teaching fundamentals, running drills, and more importantly, conveying life values? Green wasn't there just to take photos. Wasn't there just for PR. This man came with the authority of DC's public housing, organized an all-day football clinic, and ensured each of those 50 kids had an unforgettable experience. 50 kids learning the sport's fundamentals, running drills, offensive and defensive techniques, all under the supervision of one of the best cornerbacks in NFL history. But I want you to understand something deeper about what happened at Benning Terrace. These weren't kids from privileged families. These weren't kids with access to expensive football camps. These were community kids. Kids who maybe didn't have the chance to interact with a sports figure of this caliber. Kids who might need to see that dreaming big and reaching those goals is possible. Green stayed all day interacting with each of those kids, answering their questions, encouraging them during drills. And I tell you, this is exactly what football should be. Not just a sport, but a tool for social transformation, a way to teach discipline, teamwork, perseverance, and respect. Major Tuddy was also there, and I believe our official mascot's presence added that fun dimension the kids needed. The kids got to dance with Major Tuddy, take pictures, feel part of the Commanders family. But beyond that, there was a video game truck, water slides to cool off, and an atmosphere of celebration and joy that I think these kids will remember forever. Now, I ask you this. When was the last time you saw a Cowboys legend doing this in Dallas? When was the last time you saw an Eagles legend in Philadelphia working directly with community kids? When was the last time you saw a Giants legend in New York organizing something like this? I think never, because this organization understands something other franchises don't. That football is more than just a sport. It's a tool for social transformation, that our responsibility as a sports organization extends beyond winning games. Beyond making money, beyond entertaining fans on Sundays. This organization has been in multiple DC schools all year, and this is no coincidence. This isn't a temporary PR campaign. This is a real sustained commitment to the community that supports us, to the kids who will be the next generation of fans, to the families that have stood by us through good and bad times. I believe when you see Daryl Green taking the time to answer these kids' questions, to encourage them during drills, to teach them not just football techniques, but life values, you're seeing the essence of what it means to be a Washington Commander. You're seeing the legacy of an organization that understands that true success is measured not just in championships, but in the positive impact you have on your community. While other franchises focus exclusively on making money, on increasing franchise value, on maximizing profits, we're investing in our community's future. We're planting seeds that will bear fruit in the coming years. building a fan base that will be loyal, not just because we win games, but because they understand we represent something bigger than football. And I tell you this, when these 50 kids grow up, when they become successful adults, when some of them may be going to play professional football, they will remember that Daryl Green and the Washington Commanders believed in them when no one else did. They'll remember that this organization gave them an opportunity, gave them hope, gave them a reason to dream big. Now let's talk about something that has me excited, but also sets high expectations for this season. Frankie Louvu, our linebacker, has just been recognized as the 5th best off-ball linebacker in the entire NFL according to a survey by ESPN among executives, coaches, and scouts across the league. And I tell you, this is no coincidence. This is the result of hard work, a system that maximizes talent, and a player who finally found his perfect place. But let me explain exactly what it means to be recognized as the 5th best off-ball linebacker in the NFL. We're talking about a position that is absolutely crucial in modern football. The off-ball linebacker is the player who has to cover the middle field, who has to be effective against both run and pass, who has to be fast enough to cover receivers but strong enough to stop runners. Louvu came here last season from Carolina, where he had decent seasons but never fully unleashed his potential. I believe many of you don't grasp what this means. Louvu had 99 tackles last season, nearly reaching 100, which is significant for any linebacker. But more important than that, he had 8 sacks, his personal best in his entire career. Now I ask you, did you know that last year Louvu received almost no votes in the same ESPN survey? Did you know this year not only did he receive votes, but he appeared in the top 5 on many professional evaluators' ballots? Jeremy Fowler from ESPN wrote something that caught my eye. Louvu's first year as a Commander catapulted him into the top 10 conversation. He got some votes last year, but was largely a non-factor in voting. But this year, he appeared in the top 5 on many ballots. I believe this shows exactly what can happen when a talented player lands in the right system. With the right coach, Dan Quinn knew exactly how to use Louvu, knew exactly how to maximize his skills, knew exactly how to put him in positions where he could succeed. Fowler also wrote, while some evaluators believe number 5 is rich for Louvu, he earned the votes, and this is a composite ranking. Head coach Dan Quinn deploys Louvu somewhat similarly to Micah Parsons in Dallas, a hybrid linebacker with edge rush ability. Louvu capitalized significantly with 8 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and 7 passes deflected on his way to second team All-Pro honors. Now I ask you, how many linebackers in this league can generate 8 sacks in a season? How many can have 12 tackles for loss? How many can deflect 7 passes? We're talking about a player impacting the game in multiple ways. Being disruptive in both pass rush and coverage, being effective against both run and pass. The only players ahead of Louvu in this ranking were Nick Bolton from Kansas City, Zach Bond from Philadelphia, Roquan Smith from Baltimore, and Fred Warner from San Francisco. I believe Louvu is in absolutely incredible company, and this is only after 1 year with the team. But let me analyze deeper what it means to be in that group. Nick Bolton just won a Super Bowl with Kansas City. He's the central linebacker of a modern dynasty. Zach Bond had a spectacular season with Philadelphia, helping lead the Eagles back to the playoffs. Roquan Smith is one of the most consistent linebackers in the league, a player who's been All-Pro multiple times. Fred Warner is probably the best coverage linebacker in the NFL. A player who can cover receivers like a safety. I tell you that being in that group after just 1 year with our organization is absolutely impressive. But more importantly, I believe Louvu hasn't hit his ceiling yet. Now that he has experience in Dan Quinn's scheme, now that he understands exactly what's expected of him, now that he has developed chemistry with his teammates, I tell you, this man can be even better in the 2025 season. Quinn used Louvu similarly to how Dallas uses Micah Parsons, but I believe Louvu has some advantages. Parsons does. Louvu is stronger against the run. Louvu is more disciplined. In his coverage, Louvu is more consistent in his pass rush. Parsons may have pure speed, but Louvu has more versatility and football intelligence. The second team All-Pro honors Louvu received last season were no accident. They were the result of a season where he showed he could be one of the league's best linebackers, where he showed he could impact the game in multiple ways, where he showed he could be the kind of player around whom you build a defense, but want you to understand something deeper about what Louvu represents for this defense. In modern football, you need a linebacker who can do multiple things. You can't have a linebacker who's only good against the run. You can't have a linebacker who's only good in coverage. You need a player who can do it all, who can adapt to different situations, who can be effective against different types of offenses. Louvu demonstrated last season he can be that kind of player. He showed he can stop the league's best runners. He showed he can cover the league's best receivers. He showed he can pressure the league's best quarterbacks. That versatility is exactly what you need in modern football. Training camp starts on July 22nd. The first preseason game is against New England on August 8th, and I'm absolutely eager to see how Louvu will elevate his game. I believe with another year of experience in the system, with more chemistry with his teammates, with more confidence in his role, this man can be not just top 5, but top 3 in his position. And I tell you this, if Louvu can sustain this level of play, if he can improve even more, if he can become a first-team All-Pro player, that's going to be absolutely crucial for our championship aspirations. Because in modern football, you can't win a Super Bowl without an elite linebacker. And I believe Louvu has the potential to be exactly that. But now let's talk about what truly has me worried. What could define this organization's future? What could determine if we're going to maximize Jayden Daniels' potential or waste a historic opportunity? Terry McLaurin is frustrated. Rich Eisen can't believe this situation is still unresolved. And I tell you, this is far more complex and much more important than many fans understand. But let me start by explaining exactly what Terry McLaurin means to this organization. I believe many of you don't fully comprehend what this man has done for the Washington Commanders. McLaurin was drafted in 2019 in the 3rd round, pick number 76. No one expected him to become what he did. No one expected him to become the most consistent receiver in this franchise's modern history. Since his rookie year, McLaurin has had 5 consecutive seasons of over 1,000 yards. I ask you, how many receivers in all the NFL can say that? How many receivers have had that consistency, especially in an organization that's had the quarterback instability we've had? McLaurin has played with Case Keenum, with Dwayne Haskins, with Kyle Allen, with Alex Smith, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, with Taylor Heinicke, with Carson Wentz, with Sam Howell, and finally with Jayden Daniels. I believe this is absolutely incredible. This man has maintained an elite level of production despite constantly having to adapt to different quarterbacks, different offensive systems, different offensive coordinators. Now I tell you something many don't want to accept. Terry McLaurin was crucial to Jayden Daniels' success last season. Daniels had a spectacular rookie year, won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, took us to the NFC Championship game, and a significant part of that success was having McLaurin as his number 1 receiver, as his reliable target, as his safety valve in crucial situations. In his first season with Daniels, McLaurin had the best season of his career. 93 receptions, 1,096 yards, and 13 touchdowns. 13 touchdowns, 6 more than his previous best. But more important than regular stats, McLaurin scored a touchdown in each of the 3 playoff games. When we needed him most, when the pressure was highest, when the stakes were highest, McLaurin was there. But now it seems the franchise is hesitating to finalize a contract with him. And I tell you, this has me absolutely worried. McLaurin is 29, will turn 30 at the start of the 2025 season, and is entering the last year of his contract. His current contract was signed in 2022, before the receiver market completely exploded. It's 3 years at $68.3 million, averaging $22.8 million per year. Now I ask you, do you know how much the current market is paying for similar caliber receivers? At least $10 million more per year, and in some cases up to $15 million more per year. This week, McLaurin said he was frustrated with this whole process, that he hadn't had conversations with the franchise about his contract in over a month. And I tell you, this is absolutely unacceptable for a player who's been incredibly loyal to the Commanders, who's maintained a professional attitude through all the tough seasons, who's never created drama, who's never demanded a trade. Rich Eisen said something this week on his podcast that resonated with me completely. I'd be astonished. Like, why would you do that? After Jayden Daniels did what he did with this guy leading the way, why would You go into the follow-up season without him. There's always money in the banana stand of the NFL. Just find it. Just solve it. You will not go into Jaden Daniels' second season without this guy. I believe Eisen is absolutely right. I think it will be a catastrophic decision to go into the 2025 season without McLaurin, especially considering what he meant for Daniels' development last season. But let me explain exactly why this situation is so complex. Much of the delay is probably due to McLaurin's age and the current receiver market structure. Contracts comparable to what he's seeking are the one Pittsburgh gave to DK Metcalf and the one the Jets gave to Garrett Wilson. Metcalf, who's 27, got 4 years for $132 million, averaging $33 million per season. Wilson, who's 24, got 4 years for $130 million at $32.5 million per season. Now I ask you, is it difficult for the Commanders to agree on a 4-year contract with lots of guaranteed money that will extend until McLaurin is 33 or 34? Absolutely, it's difficult. Receivers tend to decline after 30, especially those who rely on speed and athleticism. But I believe McLaurin is different. McLaurin isn't just a speed receiver, isn't just a receiver who relies on pure athleticism. McLaurin is a smart receiver, a receiver who knows how to use his body to create separation, a receiver with exceptional hands, a receiver who's excellent at precise routes. Those kinds of skills don't deteriorate as quickly with age. Additionally, I believe McLaurin has shown exceptional durability throughout his career. He's played in 108 of 112 possible games since entering the league, avoided major injuries, maintained his production level season after season. That kind of consistency and durability suggests he can sustain a high level of play well into his 30s. But more important than all that, I believe McLaurin is our number one receiver, and without him, we're seriously limiting our young quarterback. While trying to win a Super Bowl, Daniels already has chemistry with McLaurin, already trusts him in critical situations, already knows exactly how to use him in different game situations. If the Commanders decide not to pay McLaurin, if they decide to let him go, who will Daniels develop that chemistry with? How will he replace the production of 93 receptions and 13 touchdowns? How will he replace the experience and leadership McLaurin brings to the receiving room? The Commanders' receiver depth in 2025 has already changed significantly. We lost Diami Brown, who went to Tampa Bay, and Olamide Zaccheaus, who went to Atlanta. These were the second and third receivers behind McLaurin last season, and now we have to replace their production. In 2025, that top three is expected to be McLaurin, Noah Brown, and Deebo Samuel, whom the franchise traded with. San Francisco, early in the year before renegotiating his 1-year contract. Samuel is obviously a talented player, but he's 31 and coming off multiple injuries. Noah Brown is a solid player, but he's never been a number one receiver. We also drafted receiver Jalen Lane in the 4th round of the 2025 draft, a guy we hope will have an early impact. Lane is a tremendous returner, and Fred Smoot believes he'll be learning Deebo Samuel's role on offense, ready to take over when Samuel retires. But Lane is a rookie, and we can't expect a rookie to immediately replace McLaurin's production. Now I ask you, do we really want to enter the 2025 season with a receiver room led by a dissatisfied McLaurin, or worse still, without McLaurin altogether? Do we really want to limit Daniels in his second season, which is typically when young quarterbacks make the biggest leap? I tell you, the McLaurin contract will very likely be resolved before the season starts, but there are rumors of a possible trade that have me worried. Multiple teams would be interested in McLaurin if he becomes available. Teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, Detroit, teams in a position to win a Super Bowl immediately. McLaurin has made it clear he wants to stay in Washington, where he's built his life with his partner, where he's established roots in the community, where he's been part of the organization's culture for 5 years. But I believe if the organization doesn't show the respect he deserves, if they don't recognize his value with an appropriate contract, he might change his mind. And I tell you this, if the Commanders trade McLaurin, if they decide he's not worth the money he's asking for, that will send a terrible message to the rest of the league, to future free agents, to the current players on the roster. It will be a message that this organization doesn't value loyalty, doesn't value consistent production, doesn't value what it means to genuinely be a Commander. But more important than all that, it will be a terrible message to Jaden Daniels. Daniels will understand that if the organization isn't willing to pay to keep his number one receiver, maybe they aren't as committed to winning a championship as they claim to be. He'll understand that maybe his development isn't the organization's top priority. I believe this situation is absolutely crucial for the franchise's future, and it needs to be resolved as soon as possible. The Commanders need to show they value loyalty, they value production, they value what it means to be part of this organization. They need to show they're committed to maximizing Jaden Daniels' potential, and that means keeping the players who've been crucial to his success. I ask you, what do you think about the community work Daryl Green is doing with DC's kids? Do you think this shows the kind of organization we are, the kind of values we stand for? Do you believe other franchises are doing this kind of work in their communities? What do you think about Frankie Louvu's recognition as the 5th best off-ball linebacker in the entire NFL? Do you think he can be even better this season now that he has more experience in Dan Quinn's system? Do you think he can become top 3 in his position? And the most important question, the one that would define this organization's future, do you agree that the Commanders should pay whatever McLaurin is asking? Do you think they should give him a 4-year contract with lots of guaranteed money? Or do you think they should let him go and use that money on other players? Do you believe it would be a catastrophic mistake to enter Jaden Daniels' second season without Terry McLaurin? Do you think McLaurin deserves to be paid as a top 10 receiver after 5 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons? Do you think his age should be a determining factor in this decision? Leave me your answers in the comments, because I read every one of them, because I respond to each of you, because this is a conversation we need to have as a community. This is a family of Commanders fans who have been through it all together, who survived tough seasons, who kept faith during dark years, and I need to know what you think about these decisions that will define our future. If this content helped, you better understand what's happening with our organization. If you like the deep analysis you won't find on any other channel, if you feel better informed about the decisions that will impact the Commanders' future, subscribe right now. Like this video because the YouTube algorithm needs to know. You want more Commanders content, more deep analysis, more information you won't find anywhere else. Share this video with other Commanders fans who need to be informed about these situations. Share this video with your friends who might not fully understand what's at stake with McLaurin's contract, with Louvu's development, with the community work the organization is doing. Turn on notifications because I'll be following every development of these stories. I'll be reporting every update on McLaurin's contract, every progress of Louvu in training camp, every community initiative of the organization. You'll be the first to know when important news breaks. We're a family here, and as a family, we'll continue supporting this team in good times and bad. But we'll also demand excellence when necessary, celebrate when things are done right, and constructively criticize when decisions aren't correct. Join this community that's growing. Every day, that's becoming the place where the most informed Commanders fans come to understand what's really happening with their team. Subscribe to the channel, and let's live every moment of this potentially historic season for the Washington Commanders together. And remember, no matter what happens, no matter what decisions the organization makes, no matter how these situations resolve, we will be here. We will be informed. We will be united, because that's what it means to be a Washington Commanders fan. Hail to the Commanders.